For centuries, our ancestors told these incredible stories. Stories about powerful beings who came down from the heavens to rule, to teach, and to create humanity itself. They came from the sky, they shared knowledge that literally shaped our world, and almost all of them promised they would return.
And that brings us to the big mystery, right? Why? Why did so many ancient cultures, we're talking civilizations separated by vast oceans and thousands of years, all point up to the sky as the home of their gods? It's a pattern that's pretty hard to ignore. And that's the central question we're going to unpack right now. Okay, so let's start with a name we all know, Zeus, the king of the Greek gods. Now, he didn't just walk around among mortals. No, he ruled from way up on Mount Olympus, a place the ancients described as literally being above the clouds. And his power, it came directly from the heavens, hurled down as thunderbolts. Now, let's jump clear across the globe to Mesoamerica. The Aztecs and the Maya told stories of Quetzalcoatl, and he wasn't some angry god of war. He was a teacher, a bringer of wisdom and civilization, and his origin story is crystal clear. He was the feathered serpent who came down from the sky.
Then we go to Mesopotamia, literally the cradle of civilization. Here we find the Anunnaki. And get this, their name isn't just a name, it's a job description. It translates word for word to those who from heaven to earth came. Their origin is their identity. So what we're looking at is a universal sky myth. It's this incredible pattern. You've got Greece, Mesopotamia, the Americas, all these ancient people sharing this same core belief. It's a really strange coincidence, especially for civilizations that had absolutely no known contact.
And that leads us to a really controversial, but you have to admit, pretty compelling idea that tries to connect all these dots. It's called the ancient astronaut theory, and it offers one single, pretty radical answer to this whole global pattern.
So what is it? Well, the theory, which was made famous by writers like Zecharia Sitchin, suggests that these gods weren't supernatural beings at all. Instead, they were flesh and blood visitors, extraterrestrials who came here and had a hand in our early development. Now, according to Sitchin's interpretation of those Mesopotamian texts, the Anunnaki weren't just tourists. They had a specific mission. They came here from a planet they called Nibiru. Why? To mine Earth for gold, apparently to save their own atmosphere. But the work was too hard, so they engineered a solution. They took early hominids and genetically upgraded them to create a workforce. They created us. And this idea of divine beings getting involved with early humans isn't just in Mesopotamia. Think about the book of Genesis. It talks about the Nephilim, who were the children of these sons of God who came down to earth and took human wives. So you have to wonder, could the Anunnaki and the Nephilim just be two different cultures writing about the very same visitors?
Okay, stories are one thing, but if these advanced beings were really here, they would have left more than just myths, right? The theory says they did. They left physical evidence, massive, unexplainable structures that seem to completely defy the technology of the ancient world.
I want you to just let this number sink in for a second. 1,650 tons. That is the weight of the Forgotten Stone at Baalbek in Lebanon. It's the biggest single piece of stone ever carved by human hands, and it's just sitting there, too big to move.
Which begs the obvious question, how? How on earth could any ancient civilization with just ropes and rollers and primitive tools even think about moving something that massive? I mean, the conventional explanations just don't seem to add up at this kind of scale.
And Baalbek is not a one-off. We see these engineering mysteries all over the world. You've got the stones at Pumapunku in Bolivia, cut with a precision that looks like it was done with modern machinery. The Nazca lines in Peru, giant figures you can only really see from an airplane. And the altar stone at Stonehenge, that was moved over 150 miles. Every single one is a huge puzzle. Now, this is one of the most iconic pieces of so-called evidence, the sarcophagus lid of the Mayan king Pakal. Mainstream archaeology says this is a beautiful, symbolic image of the king falling down the world tree into the underworld. But the alternative view is pretty startling. Is he really descending? Or is he piloting some kind of craft? His hands look like they're on controls, his foot is on a pedal, and what looks like fire and exhaust is blasting out the back. So is he falling or is he flying? All right, take a look at this. On the left, you've got a Dogu figurine from ancient Japan. It's over 2,000 years old. Notice those huge goggle-like eyes, the helmet, that bulky suit. Now look at the modern astronaut on the right. The resemblance is, well, it's hard to just brush off. So, was this a fertility idol, or was it a surprisingly accurate statue of a visitor in a protective suit?
And the list just keeps going. The Temple of Seti I in Abydos, Egypt, has these famous hieroglyphs that look uncannily like a modern helicopter and a submarine. In Guatemala, archaeologists found a Mayan figurine that has a removable helmet. Are all of these just coincidences, weird interpretations, or were ancient artists trying to draw technologies that were totally alien to them?
And it's not just the artifacts, it's the buildings themselves. From the Giza pyramids perfectly mirroring the stars in Orion's belt, to Göbekli Tepe aligning with the star Sirius, ancient people built these massive sites with unbelievable astronomical precision. This required a level of knowledge we just didn't think they had. So did they figure it all out on their own? Or did somebody give them a star map? And this brings us to a really mind-bending possibility. If these beings visited us in the distant past, what happened to them? Did they just pack up and leave forever? Or, and this is what we're going to get into now, could they still be here? Could there be a direct line connecting these ancient myths to the strange things people see in the sky today?
Just think about the sheer consistency of these sightings throughout history. 6th century BC, the prophet Ezekiel describes a wheel within a wheel coming from the sky. A few centuries later, Roman soldiers reported flaming shields in the air. Fast forward to World War II, pilots saw Foo Fighters. And in 2004, U.S. Navy pilots filmed the now famous Tic Tac UFO. The names change, but the sightings of these bizarre aerial craft, they stay eerily the same.
And this isn't just ancient history anymore. The number of reports has exploded in the 20th and 21st centuries. We now have actual radar data, credible pilot testimony, and officially declassified videos from the military, all of it confirming that there are still things in our skies that we simply cannot explain. Which brings us right back to where we started. One of the most powerful threads in all these ancient sky god stories is the promise of a return. It didn't matter if it was the Anunnaki of Sumeria or Quetzalcoatl of the Aztecs. The stories almost always end with the gods leaving, but vowing to come back one day. So I'll leave you with this final, really provocative question. Are all these unidentified aerial phenomena that we're hearing about today a totally new modern mystery? Or are we just watching the latest chapter of a very, very old story? A story that began thousands of years ago when our ancestors first looked up and saw beings descend from the sky.